Hey folks, it's your boy Donald Wonder, and I'm back to do another discussion about a very beloved franchise. Now, I've been in a lot of sci-fi talk with books, anime, and other TV shows when I did the Babylon 5 review, which you should check out. People, check it out. Babylon 5 is pretty awesome. But what I want to talk about is the granddaddy of franchises, Star Trek. Now, I've just completed the Star Trek universe, the TV Star Trek universe, because I have now just completed watching Star Trek, the original series. Yes, for some reason, it just turned out that the original series was the last one I watched. Now, this isn't going to be a review for the original series. This isn't, because, you know, there's tons of reviews out there for Star Trek. I want to keep it more interesting, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have just a brief overview of what I think of the series, how I think it matches up against the others, the future ones, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and then I'm going to give you my top 10 favourite episodes, not particularly the best, my personal favourite episodes in the original series for Star Trek. So, with all that said, let's get started. Okay, people, so we're talking about the original Star Trek, Kirk era. Let's do it. I think it's only fair, before I start the review, I need to let the people know my history with Star Trek. Now, I grew up on Star Trek. My older brother got me into Star Trek. I was born in the early 80s, so I started watching Star Trek in the early 90s when I was about 10, 11. And at that time, The Next Generation was the first show I was introduced to. Didn't really understand the concept, let's be honest. I was an 11-year-old kid, but my older brother just got me interested in the politics, and as I got older, I started to appreciate it more. So I kind of want to go back and watch The Next Generation, because at the time I didn't really get all the concept, but by the time it was over, you know, I understood all the characters and everything, blah, 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 blah. Next was Voyager, which I had a clear understanding of, and, you know, Voyager, I really did enjoy Voyager. I know the fans don't like Voyager, the diehards don't like Voyager, and Janeway, as far as a captain, you know, but I loved it has some of the best episodic episodes in the whole franchise for me personally. I love a lot of the cast. It has a decent ending. I love Voyager. I do love Voyager. As for Enterprise, the prequel, oh boy. I wasn't the biggest fan. I think I enjoyed, I don't know, man. I watched it with both eyes open, but for some reason, you know, just didn't resonate that well with me. And I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the last episode, definitely not. Especially with one of my favourite characters dying like that. But anyway, I went back and I watched Deep Space Nine. That was excellent. That was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it. I thought it had a very slightly weird ending. But anyway, so getting back on track. At that point, I had seen all the Star Treks, and I would say I watched Deep Space Nine about 3 years ago. What's that? 2011, 2010, let's say. So just last year, 2013, I sat down and I thought it's time to watch the original Star Trek, the original series, the Kirk era. And I have to say, I was very hesitant to watch the original because you've seen, you know, 4 franchises ahead, you think that maybe you've seen all the plots already, maybe it'll be too dated, maybe it'll be too corny. And I was expecting a lot of cheese. You know, I was expecting the original series to be very cheesy. So honestly, my expectations wasn't that high, but just because I'm a completionist, and if I dare call myself a true Trekkie, I would have to watch the original series, all the original movies, so then I could just say, yes, I'm a Trekkie. And that's what I have done now. Here are my thoughts on the original series. The original series was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I had a really, really good time with the Kirk era first Star Trek series. I mean, it was much more laid back. The thing with the Federation from Next Generation onwards is they're so, you know, collar-tied and proper and prim with the way they take on the command, and it's very, very, it's interesting from a political standpoint, but it's very, very above the board. The original Star Trek, this Kirk era, is so laid back, so cool. You can tell it's that 60s, 70s show where there's a lot of things, you know, obviously there's a lot of sexism there and, you know, it's very corny. But you know what? When it gets down to it, they have good core episodes. And I think it's you can see it's a precursor to what's to come. And I think it still holds up fantastically well. Still some fantastic thought-provoking episodes that even the future series can't touch. So I'll just tell you now, for me, the original Star Trek is a first class. To be honest with you, except for Enterprise, all of the franchises like first class to me. But in every single iteration, every single franchise, every single series, they have bad episodes, all of them. But I think they do all the concepts well, all the good ideas well. And before we get and move on, I just want to say, I think the only franchise we're missing is a franchise about the Academy. When are we going to get that Star Trek series about the Academy? Because that's what we want to see. You know, we've got this whole cinematic universe of J.J. Abrams and whoever's going to take over after Into Darkness, but I still want the TV series for the Academy. I think that's the next, maybe even the last phase. So that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, the original series is great. Fits in perfectly well. Kirk is a fantastic captain, the cowboy captain. But now it's time to move on. Like I said, not a review. Don't see the point of reviewing the whole show because it is much beloved and I love it too. First class. But I do want to mention my top 10 favourite Star Trek, the original series episodes. And it's always fun to watch what other viewers, fans think or what their favourite episodes are. So people, I'm not going to say these are the most thought-provoking or even the best, but for me, they're the ones that stand out the most, and they are very thought-provoking for me. And for me, at this point in time, they are my current favourite. Things might change in the future, so people don't crucify me. It's just my opinion. So, let's get into it.